Now listen. If you want to succeed in life, you must first admit your insufficient areas. Your area of insufficiency. Moses was a visionary. Moses was the frontliner. Moses was the one who had the assignment. Moses was the one who was the CEO. Let me put it like that in business language. Moses was the one, in quotes, let me use ministry language. He was the GO. Moses was the one who was the visionary. Moses was the one who was the head of departments. Moses was the one, whatever, GO, boss, and all of that, CEO, the coach. So Moses was the one. But the first thing Moses did, when God gave him the assignment, the vision, because you can have the vision, doesn't mean that you are sufficient in all areas. The first thing Moses did in communicating to God was to first identify his area of insufficiency. And let me tell you something. Many times, when you can identify and accept your area of insufficiency, it shows that you are secured. Many leaders are very insecure. I can tell. Sometimes you may say, oh, I'm secured. But you don't know. It's when somebody who seems to have an abundance in an area that you are insufficient, that you have not recognized, then the real thing comes out of you. That's when you know whether you are secured or an insecure person. But when you want to know if you are secure, the first thing you would do as a visionary, as someone who wants to fulfill success, is that you must spot your area of insufficiency. Failure to accept it will never make you go nowhere. Areas of insufficiency. The insufficient area for Moses was that he was not fluent. Pharaoh. How was he going to conquer Pharaoh? Before he talks to one, God, sense me. Pharaoh has given like 100 words. He had the backing of God, but he knew he needed a team in the person of Aaron. And let me tell you something. When you don't recognize your area of insufficiency, you cannot see an Aaron. When you don't recognize your area of insufficiency, you will never see an Aaron, even if God sends him. So he shall be your spokesman to the people, and he himself shall be as a mouth for you, and you shall be to him as God. It did not displace a Moses, but Moses knew his position. You can own the business and not know how to brand the business. Just because you're a business owner doesn't mean you're a business brander. There's any English like that. You can own the business, does not mean that you can package it. Until you recognize your area of sufficiency, you cannot find your abundance in a team. You can own the company, it doesn't mean that you can do the job well. You can be the head of your wife, doesn't mean you have all the capacity to build a marriage. Let me go the marriage way. I'm sure you have heard Pastor mention it severally. When we were about getting married, he knew that he lacked the skills to handle finance. So he had to hand it over to me because he saw. But if he had not recognized that I was insufficient, he would not have seen the potential in me, and it would have ruined our marriage. Because just because you lead doesn't mean that you have the capacity. You have all areas of strength. You have all capacity. So you must know your areas of insufficiency. It doesn't make you less of Moses. It doesn't make you less of a CEO. It doesn't make you less of the GO. It doesn't make you less of the head of department. But know that I am not sufficient in creating ideas, so I need people who can create it. I am not good at cleaning. I need people who can clean the company's environment. There are many things I'm not good at. It doesn't make me not have the idea. Are you getting it? At the end of the day, the victory went to who? Did it go to Aaron? Did it go to Aaron? It went to who? So if you need to be successful, you will need to spot your area of insufficiency. You can be somebody who is a CEO, but you don't know how to package yourself. I worked in a company when I was single. I worked as an accountant. I was working as the marketing personnel. Then they moved me to Department of Accounts. And I had to learn how to do pastry and the rest of it. And so one day, my boss called for a board meeting. Called for a staff meeting. And I was part of it. And one of my bosses, my marketing manager, used to steal money in the company. So when I came into the company, I realized that they did not have auditors. And the reason I knew about auditing was because my sister, who happened to be my roommate in the city I was working in, was an accountant. She studied accounts. And so I was surprised from my boss, who was well exposed, well traveled. When we had a meeting, he had a meeting with us. He said something. He said, I do not know how I could find, how we could reconcile, the accounts in the company. But one thing I've noticed is that someone is stealing our funds. And I need someone who can stand in and audit our finance and do bank reconciliation so we can spot how finance is really going in the company. So me sitting down there, I felt like, because he has had different kinds of companies. He travels a lot to UK, US, South Africa, different companies. Before I ever met him, I was already traveling. And I was like, why would he not know all of it? He's a CEO, very wealthy man. And I was surprised I had to. And then immediately, one of the persons who had, worked in a place before, had to start bringing in a lot of ideas. And he had to start spotting, and then invited the auditors. That were the first set of auditors that the company had to use. But now, if the CEO was not humble enough to admit his area of insufficiency in front of us, we will not make progress in the company. And many CEOs are like that. Many leaders are like this. They want to be the God in all areas, but do not know that they will kill the children of Israel. They will kill the people that they are meant to lead. They will kill the company. They will kill their staff because they have refused to admit their areas of insufficiency. Last 2 years, I knew that I needed a level in my area of ministry. I called my friend. And many times when she sees my ministry, she'll call me like, oh, wow, how did you dissect this scripture? How did you do this? And this is somebody that compliments me a lot. She looks up to me. She has this way. She has the way she looks at me. And one of the days I called her, I said, listen, I'm sinking in this area. And I need you to discipline me. And she was like, you? Where? How? I said, yes, I need it. And I realized that particular year, a lot of things changed about me in that area. You will never spot a strength in a person until you identify and accept your insufficiency. So the question is, what are you insufficient in? You want to be successful, you need to find your area of lack. When you claim to be full of help with the way you create a posture, the way you talk, no one will help you, even when you are dying. So what's your area of insufficiency? What have you spotted? Are you that kind of person who is extremely lazy? That can be it. You have the idea, you have had the dreams. God called you, we know. Nobody's arguing with you. But it doesn't end in a call. So you need someone who would push you. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday. And he said, the reason I'm close to this person in church is because the person knows how to set targets. And I don't know how. You need to not know how to know the person that knows how. This is for people that want to succeed. Like I said, everybody has their definition of success. You can be selling in urban market, that's your definition of success. Like one time I was selling Okrika, I thought I was successful. You understand? That can be it. You can be tying leave, moving with some kind of people, doing tailoring a certain way, and you think you are successful. Because maybe many people around you have hyped you. Men can hype you into error. And so you look at yourself and say, what's this person saying? What are you talking about? After they told me I'm successful. But you need to know that there is a price. Apostle Paul said, a price of the upward call. So, if you're going to accept people's compliments and you don't have a written, clear definition of what success means to you, you will stay low. You will think that you have reached the core, but you don't know that you are in a low state. You can be, somebody told me that she's a tailor. And I don't mean to embarrass anyone. Tailoring has grade. So I asked her, I said, can you show me your social media handle? Because these days, I don't know how you have a business and your social media is not doing well in these times. And then she showed me. When I saw the clothes, the picture of the clothes she was making, I didn't think that I could hand over my clothes to her. Because if I have to tag her handle, and people, because, when you're a public person, people go there to see. I'm not even promoting her, so it's not by tagging her. You can tag handles, and the handle doesn't handle anything. So it's not about tagging a handle, because by the time you go there, you see it for yourself. When I saw it, I'm like, no, I thought this one can't make a dress for me. So I told the person, I said, listen, you are obviously insufficient in this area. No, those are the kind of things she makes. I said, well, I couldn't argue. I just left her there. But in my mind, I knew that this girl, this lady, has a definition of success. There are local people and there are global people. If you are going to sing and you want to become a global singer, there's a behavior. If you want to be a local singer, there's also a behavior. If you want to just stay within the four walls of Oluku, doing business, there's a behavior. Everybody has the definition of success. Everybody has a definition of success. Every time people see us, they tell us, I thought you were in Lagos, because good things come from only Lagos and Abuja. And we're like, no, we actually stay in Benin. Benin? How? Where? How? Benin. I don't blame them, Sha, because even the Benin. So like, Benin? How? Where? You see, the base in Lagos and all of that. And there's something I picked out. It's not your locality that brings a standard. It's the picture of your success that creates a standard for you. It's not your environment. And let me tell you something. One of the ways to know if you are insufficient in an area, ask critical minds to criticize you. When you post your business, ask them for review. Don't be intimidated by reviews. It's a way to spot, because unconsciously you may not know where you are insufficient, really. You may not know. But ask critical. The word is critical, because you can have friends that pamper you. You can have friends that can criticize you. They will tear you to your face. I don't know if I've shared this here. Maybe. When I just got married to Pastor is my greatest critic. If you like, hail me. He will tell me, you just preach rubbish. That day, I prayed before the sermon. He told me to go and minister. We were still in Redeemed Church. When I heard the mic, I thought I ministered. People were kneeling and crying. In fact, my sister walked up to me, my God, what a revival. I felt revived. I was going. Pastor, I just said, I didn't even have to finish the statement. He said, what a rubbish preaching. If you know Pastor Very, no chills. He doesn't mind it. He said, what is that what you preach? Can you show me your sermon notes? I said, but people came to meet me and said, Mama, you blessed me. He said, be there. Okay, go with their compliments. Be there. Be there now. And he had to sit with me. Gave me videos on YouTube to go and watch. Broke me, pieces me. I cried, recried. Was cried. Let me tell you something. If you want to know if you are insufficient, look for minds that are far ahead of you. Sometimes you don't need to tell you. When you stay long, not even too long, with exposed people, they'll reveal your insufficiency naturally. You know how you feel like, before I got married, I've been privileged to just few places, 1, 2, 3. An international ministry, a big one, you worry. So I've, talked for a few minutes. So I just felt like, okay, I have it, I got it. Let me go and minister. He told me to go and minister. I said, yes, of course. What's the topic? By the time I was done, I was undone in his eyes. Why? Because I married someone who was far exposed, more exposed than me. So naturally, your insufficiency will be read. Don't run away from cycles that are more exposed than you. Stay there. It is when you are not ready to identify and accept your areas of insufficiency, areas of lack in some particular skills. That's when you'll be intimidated by the people that are more exposed than you. But when you want, like I said, the idea, all of this talk is if you want to succeed and you have a prize, you have a goal, you have what is in your head, how you want that, you have a class of success. Then the kind of people, the kind of minds you must have are people who are more exposed than you. It will look like it's not easy. It will feel like you are intimidated. Initially, you want to go low sometimes, but stay there. Because they will not need to tell you, but their exposure will chisel you to naturally bring out your areas of lack. And if you want to succeed, you will need to identify it. Sometimes you can be good at writing, but you're not good at marketing what you have written. You can have the product, but you're not able to brand it. Somebody came to my house. She wrote a book. One of my proteges. She said she wants to see me. She wants to hold a conference. You know how you are in a hurry, excited. She brought it. I said, this book, I won't buy it. The front alone, it's not fronting. Front alone is poor. Front alone is very poor. Then when I read the first page, if you're going to invite me with your book for a conference, I won't attend. And she had to rewrite it. Some of you guys, what was she saying? How many books has she even written? You can have the inspiration to write, but look for critical minds to evaluate. So that what you think you are successful at, you might be looking like success, but you're not actually the success. You're not actually successful. So what are your insufficient areas? Can be insufficient in skills, insufficient in ideas, insufficient in executing. So you can be someone who has ideas, but you're not able to execute. You just talk. You talk away ideas. You cannot execute. You're insufficient in branding. You are insufficient in administration. One of the pastor talks about a lot. He loves that particular man. You know why? He's very secured. Now, if you're into ministry here, preaching alone doesn't build a church. Actually, 90% of church growth rests on administration. Not preaching. So this man has the poise. He has the preaching poise. He has the remas. But he lacks administration. So what did he do? He quickly identified a person like Reverend then. And said, please help me to fulfill this area of my lack. And because he was secured, he could identify. He wasn't, some people, so you think that someone want to take your business. So you begin to protect it at all costs. They want to take your position. They want to take your office. If they begin to give their ideas now, I don't think I'll be relevant. When you don't recognize your area of insufficiency, you're actually relevant already.